People from just about every other religious group know what they believe and why they believe it, with the sad exception of many Christians. And for this reason, at some point in many Christians' lives, they go through a process called deconstruction. And this is basically when they start to question and start to doubt their faith, and they start to question everything that they've been taught as a Christian, and they begin to say, is this real? Is this something that I really should believe in? This could happen for a variety of reasons. Maybe they go through a major life crisis and they start questioning God. Or maybe somebody asked them a question and threw them off guard and they really weren't sure about how to answer that particular question, so they started to doubt. Or maybe they go to college and they go into their first philosophy course and the professor hits them with something that maybe they've never considered, and now their faith is shattered. Regardless of how it happens, this experience can be devastating for the believer. So what I want to propose in this video very well may be countercultural to what you may hear anywhere else, but what I'm suggesting is, instead of being passive and waiting for something like this to happen in your life, instead be proactive. And I want to encourage you to, here it is, deconstruct your own faith. Now, notice what I said. I said deconstruct it, which means it doesn't necessarily have to result in you losing your faith if you do it the right way. So in this video, I want to talk about some reasons why you may want to do this so that it will end up for you better in the long term. But more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how you should do this so that whenever you reconstruct your faith, it will be stronger than what you have today. And in order to help you with this, towards the end of this video, I have a free download that I want you to get in your hands so that it will aid you along this path of deconstruction and then ultimately reconstruction. So what I want you to do is take a look at this clip that Dr. Frank Turek and I did a while back, where he talks about how doubting your faith very well may end up being a good thing. And then I'm going to come back and tell you some reasons why I think it's a good thing, as well as talk about how you can do it the right way. Check it out. Okay, now let's talk about this one. This is a great question. Is it okay for a Christian to doubt their faith? You know, you got a lot of people that just have questions and they doubt, and they're like, man, am I still a Christian because I'm having doubts? And is there any good that could come out of doubting your faith as a Christian?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good that can come out with doubting, because doubts can urge you to get answers. Let me give you an illustration. Sometimes people ask, well, why would God create people that he knew would go to hell? Okay. And the point here is that God can even get his free will done, or his will done, through people who disobey him. Like, for example, Richard Dawkins, the atheist who wrote the book, The God Delusion. He writes a book called The God Delusion. A Christian picks it up and starts to read it and sees an argument in there and goes, wow, I never thought of that. I guess I got to study more and get an answer to that. So here is an atheist writing a book designed to try and convince people there's no God. And in this case, anyway, it actually convinces a Christian to get closer to God after he looks at that argument and has a little bit of doubt. Wow, I better do some research. So God can get his will done even through evil that people do. God can draw a straight line with a crooked stick. In fact, he does it with all of us. We're all crooked sticks, right? So yes, doubts can be good to help you to get answers. But let me say this, that doubts are not the foundation, or you shouldn't use your psychology as the foundation for what you believe. And let me explain it this way. I normally ask audiences, how many people in here doubt that what you believe is true, whether you're Christian, atheist, anywhere in between? And usually everyone or most people will raise their hands. And I say, good, because if you're not doubting, you're probably not thinking. You're probably not thinking enough, right? You're just taking everything without any sort of critical thinking or reasoning about it at all. And I say, look, sometimes I wake up in the morning, I go, I don't even know if this is true. And other days I wake up and I go, this is really strong. But then I start realizing that most of my doubts, Alan, they're emotional. They're not intellectual. In other words, maybe I'm just having a bad day because something bad happened to me. Well, that doesn't mean that, emotionally I'm down. That doesn't mean that Jesus didn't rise from the dead because I had an emotionally bad day, right? In other words, if I look at the evidence for Christianity, the evidence for Christianity is very good. But if I'm having a bad day, it doesn't look really good. If I'm having a good day, everything looks fine. Bad day, I don't know. Good day, fine. Bad day, don't know. What's changing, me or the evidence?
You.
It's not the evidence that's changing. I'm changing. And so what I tell people is, don't look at your psychology to try and discover whether Christianity is true. In fact, don't look at your your psychology is not going to tell you whether anything's true. Not just Christianity, but anything. You know, whether it's safe to get on an airplane, your psychology is not going to tell you that. What's going to tell you that is the evidence. So don't concentrate on your psychology, concentrate on the evidence, because the evidence will be what you ought to follow on whether or not Christianity is true, not your changing moods, not your changing emotions, which tend to go up and down.
Okay, I just want to add on a little bit to what Frank said and basically give you my two reasons. And the first reason why I think that most Christians just need to straight up deconstruct their faith is because of an internal reason. And that's the idea that, hey, you may already start having some doubts. And so if you deconstruct what you believe and then you reconstruct it back together again, all it's going to do is simply strengthen what you believe to be true. So you don't have to be walking around with some sort of fragile, insecure faith because you've been taught this your whole life, but in your heart of hearts and your mind, you're not really sure about what you believe and whether it is truly the right way. If you go through this process the right way, it's going to firm up internally what you believe as being the truth. But then the second reason is not only an internal one, but it's an external one. And that's the idea that if you really want to be used by God in a much greater way to be able to reach people all over the world, then you need to put yourself in a place where you know what you believe and why you believe it. Because once you do that, God will be able to use you to reach other people that may be having the same questions and doubts that you may have. And you'll be putting yourself in a position where whenever they ask you these questions, you won't be caught off guard because you would have already done your due diligence to get the answers to the questions that people are searching for. Now, how do you do this the right way? I'm only going to give you one major tip that I think is going to cover everything. I want to encourage you, my friend, to ask a trusted believer, somebody who is further along in the faith, who maybe have already gone down this path, to go along in this journey with you so that you're not out there by yourself. Because if you go out there by yourself, you could end up losing your faith because you get more confused the further down the road you go. But if you go down this path with a trusted friend, a trusted mentor, or a pastor, or someone that you believe can help you along this way, then they will aid you in the process of deconstructing your faith. In other words, taking it apart piece by piece, looking at questions about God, questions about Jesus, questions about the salvation, questions about Christianity, questions about the Bible, right? Breaking it down into different categories and getting those answers. But then they will be there to pick you up and help you reconstruct it. Now, in order to help you along this journey, as I talked about earlier, I put together a short little list of 21 questions that I believe every Christian needs to answer. If you want access to this, simply click the link in this video, or below this video rather, in the description, and you can download that. I purposely did not fill in the answers for you because I want that to be your journey, my friend. And I believe that every Christian that's watching this video at some point in their life needs to be able to answer these 21 questions. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. I'm also going to put a link below to a couple of websites that will point you in the right direction so you can start getting the answers to these questions. So if you found this video helpful in any way, feel free to share it with a friend. Also, if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you would subscribe. Check out some of the other videos on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time on The Beat.